Hey, I'm Krista Wax. You're listening to MSP Sound on KFAI, and I have Tim from A Gentleman Speaker here. Hey,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. A little exhausted, but generally I would say pretty
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
good. Yeah, I don't know how to interpret that, but
Well, that's great. But actually, I was just thinking about it. The last time we were interviewing together, it was in studio in person.
yeah, yeah.
Was that 2019 or was that
Um, 20, yeah, that was 2019. It'd been like April or something. Yeah, March or April, late March, early April. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Well, how much time has changed or the world has changed?
Oh God, yeah. So much has changed. Yeah, I only know that that was exactly when that happened because we had our release show like the April 13th or something like that year, and I flew to Switzerland like a few days after the release show, and I remember that was 2019. I remember everything was so crazy because I had to put together a release show, and then I had to 3 days later fly out of the country for 2 weeks. And it was also my first ever vacation alone, and it was just like absolute chaos.
Wow. Well, what a
Yeah,
fun trip down memory lane.
yeah. Well, yeah. There's yes. Yeah, I'll probably mention that trip a few times in this interview actually, because it played a big role in like the album and stuff like that, new album.
Okay. Well, yeah. Speaking of, I did not just call you here for a walk down memory lane with our last in-person interview, but
What?
yeah, sorry, false pretenses. I have to
I've
hear
been
somehow.
duped. Yeah, that's right.
But exciting news because you have a brand new album coming out this Friday. Friday.
Yes. Yeah, the albums comes out Friday and then the show is Saturday.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, the Well Between Continents
Yep. That's right.
name of the album. And well, how did Switzerland play a role in
Uh, it, it's basically the whole thing is so what happened was I went to Switzerland and it was like a really challenging experience, traveling alone in a country I'd never been to, never having traveled alone. It was really difficult and really rewarding at the same time. And I went through all these highs and lows, ups and downs, struggles, rewards. And then toward the end of the trip, I met this woman who we ended up, I came home and we ended up sort of developing kind of a long distance sort of relationship, which really kind of took off and was like wildfire. It escalated very quickly over the course of a few months. And then, she made arrangements to come here. And then, she came here and it came crashing down very quickly. It's like almost, I don't know, almost as, it was definitely came down faster than it started, but it was like, it started very quickly and it came down very quickly. And it was for me, like really, a really difficult thing for me to deal with, and so I ended up throughout the whole process writing a lot of songs. There's like one song on the album, I think, that was written before I met her, and I actually wrote on the trip. And then the rest of the songs were written in the build up to the collapse, I guess, if you want to call it that, the build up to the collapse, and then afterwards dealing with all the things that had happened. And like we're still in touch and we're still friends, and I still think she's a really, really cool person, and we talk all the time. But yeah, so I ended up getting, almost the entire album is about that experience and the struggles that I kind of dealt with that. And then I think, there's maybe like one song that was written after that all kind of sort of mellowed out, I guess, where I kind of got back to my writing about, not just heartbreak, but like, some socio-economical or political things that I tend to write about sometimes. But long and short of it, the album, almost the entire thing, it was about that experience. So
wow.
yeah.
So not about COVID.
No.
That's refreshing.
Right. Yeah. Well, we Refreshing. We kind of took advantage of it's hard to say take advantage of COVID, but like everything shut down. We had a bunch of shows booked. We were going out of town with the Bad Man, which is gonna be super fun. That was like right after everything closed down. We didn't even get emails from the venues. We're just like, so I guess it's not happening then, yeah. And then I sent emails and never got responses, and it was just like, okay, I guess we're not going. Obviously, it wasn't really. It was very early on, like no one knew exactly how this was all going to play out. But so once everything closed down, we were like, well, what can we do to utilize this time that we have? And then so we had a bunch of demos of the songs already done, but we decided that we wanted to try and get Brett Bouillon on board with the album, and like we're the possibility of maybe doing it for us, which we never imagined that he would. Because we're just like, because he's just a really good producer from the cities, and we just thought he'd probably have much better things on his plate than working with us. So we were like, well, whatever, okay. So we took the time to redo all of our demos. We did our best to be responsible considering the COVID restrictions. I mean, for the first shutdown and everything, we obviously didn't do anything. We didn't practice. We didn't get together or whatever. But as it somewhat eased and people allowed one or a few people back into their biomes, I would just get together with one of the band members at a time, and we would make demos. And so, once we finished those, we felt like they were pretty good, and we submitted them to Brett, and Brett actually agreed to do the album, which was really, really cool. Fast forward a few months, I think we scheduled it after we finally got the demos to him. We scheduled it out like 4 or 5 months, and then went in and got the recording done. And then things kind of started opening up again, and ever since then we've kind of been playing shows. But we didn't expect for Brett to do it. And we actually also got really lucky because we reached out to Carrie from the Bad Bad Hats, and she agreed to sing a couple of songs on the album with us. One song, just like backup vocals, but she also has like a feature in one of the songs. So that's super cool. And that's another thing. It was like, oh, there's no way she's not going to want to do this. Like, and I sent her some of the demos, and she's like, yeah, this is cool. I'll do that. So we kind of, as bad as the pandemic has been, and as unfortunate as like all the bad things that came with the shutdown for so many people, we at least were able to get something out of it. And it was in a way, it was kind of good for us because we didn't have time to work on these songs because we were playing so many shows before the shutdown. We were just like going. We never had time to learn them. We never had time to work out the details. But yeah, it forced us to take a break, and just like it forced everybody to take a break. And then we made the most of it, and now we're coming out of the shutdown and all of that with something great. Hopefully something we really we're really proud of, and hopefully everything doesn't shut down again, but I guess we'll just have to deal with that as it comes, I guess.
No. I know. I have the same feelings, like heading fall into winter, like, okay, let's just go out and enjoy life right now, because
it's who knows what's going to happen. Without getting too much into the vaccines and all of that, I guess if we want to talk all about the fact that we're going on the road, we're going to have to talk about vaccines and stuff like that. But they work, and so it's like people should be able to be a little more loose with their restrictions when everybody is mutually taking the safe precautions, I guess. So who knows what'll happen once everybody's stuck inside. I really wonder if bars and restaurants are going to make it through the winter, because people will be forced back inside. We'll see. People are selling out Excel Energy Center and going to concerts there, and like it doesn't seem like these are super spreader events. Maybe that's one thing I have to keep reminding myself is we live in Minnesota, and a lot of Minnesotans are taking it, are getting the vaccines and taking it. I mean, not that people aren't taking it seriously, but they're on board with the efficacy of a vaccine. So maybe that is why we can do things like that, I guess. I'm not sure what it's like in the rest of the country, but it seems to be okay sometimes here. I mean, I don't think the fair really like got people too much. It's hard to say how many people at the fair were vaccinated, but I never really heard about, well, I heard a lot of stories about it spreading like wildfire there. So I mean, but I don't know. I mean, who knows?
I know, right? I don't think anybody really knows.
Right, for sure. But I went to I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I went to the fair, and I was just like, I don't know why I thought that I could do this, but I went to the fair and I told my friend I would only go if we stayed away from the kids, because kids are definitely not vaccinated. And so I was like, we just have to make sure we stay away. Have you ever tried to stay away from kids at the fair? Impossible. They're everywhere.
I'm trying to think where you go. Maybe the beer garden.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even think about that. I mean, I just carried my beer around, so but
you were the beer garden.
I just held my breath when I was around kids, or I just walked past very quickly.
Like with your head back or something, breathe.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty good, especially since the beginning of the whole pandemic. I've been pretty good about learning how to hold my breath around people, and I think that's helped me quite a bit.
That's good.
Yeah. I'll teach a class about it maybe.
Well, it's very exciting to have a new album out and that you were able to take advantage of this downtime, which was a total bummer, but
yeah, right. I mean, how would you rather have it? I guess I'd rather we'd elected to take time to do it rather than being forced to do it, especially considering what was happening during that time, which is much less fortunate than not being able to play shows or anything like that for a lot of people. But yeah, did the most with it, I guess.
Yeah, which is good. And that leads us to your album release show is Saturday, October 9th. So album comes out Friday, October 8th on all the streams.
Yep.
Okay.
It should be everywhere. I clicked the button through our distributor that said everywhere. It said select all services, and I said, yes. And so
someone one time told me that they put it on Napster. Is Napster part of your button selection, or did you see that?
Oh, I would. I don't know about that. I don't even know. Does Napster really? Do they do streaming?
I'm not sure what they do anywhere, but someone who was on this show, I won't say who, said we clicked everything, including Napster, and I was like, "That's still a thing."
if it's an option, then I'm pretty sure we're on Napster. But
okay.
I didn't look that close. There are a lot of different streaming services I didn't even know existed. And I still couldn't name them all. I don't even know why we would even elect to be on them, because I don't know that anyone listens to them, any of them. But
you never know.
Well, here's to hoping that that's like the breakthrough we were looking for, was whatever these odds and end like streaming services are.
Exactly. But album release show is Saturday, October 9th at Icehouse. You have a stellar lineup. Yeah,
super excited. I mean, it's with the Bad Man and Porcupine. The Bad Man, we ended up meeting him a few years ago. Just randomly, we had mutual friends in bands, and we ended up like just kind of checking each other's bands out, and we really liked each other, and so it was always natural that we would do some shows. Like I said, we set some things up before the pandemic. We were gonna do a few shows out of town, and so it was an easy choice for us to ask them. And they're so good, and there's like their energy is kind of unparalleled. Like their live music, live show is just great. And then Porcupine, we actually accidentally ended up playing with them at Big Turn one year. Do you remember I don't know if you went, but there was a huge snowstorm. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had friends who couldn't make it to the festival. They were slotted to play, and they couldn't. They decided not to go because of the snowstorm. And so I just talked to one of the organizers, and I said, "Hey, we're here. We have all of our stuff. We already had one set, but it was like, well, we're not against playing again if you want to fill this slot that we know is open." And they said, "Oh yeah, sure." They ended up letting us do it, and actually getting a hold of us. I think we asked them on, say, like Friday night or something like that, and they said, "Yeah, sure." And then they got a hold of us Saturday morning. They said, "Would you rather play like at the VFW or the American Legion, where all like the bigger bands tend to play? Would you rather play there at like 7:00?" And we were like, "Yeah, of course, yeah, of course we would like to do that." And so we played. People were expecting a different band. It was because another band canceled because the snowstorm. But we ended up playing right before Porcupine, and they saw us, and they really liked us. And of course, I love Porcupine. I think our styles are not like super close together, but like they fit very well on a bill together. I think, and I mean, they sound like a lot of bands that I really liked when I was growing up. They always gave me. I don't know if you remember Burning Airlines. If you were listening to them, they were kind of like an indie mathy kind of darker rock band from the late '90s. And when I first heard Porcupine, it was just striking all those chords that I felt back then. I was like, oh, this is really cool. But anyway, they really liked us and we really liked them, and so we always, every time I'd run into those guys, we're always talking about setting something up. And so it just turned out that we had a release show coming up and said, yeah, hey guys, like let's do this. And so everybody got on board, and it's awesome. We're flattered. We don't think we deserve to be headlining this show. It's not fair. Like it's like bands that we looked up to for a long time, and like they are having us headline it, which they insist because it's our release show, but at the same time I just don't feel right about it. But we are anyway, so
fun.
We're flattered. It's great. It's an honor that they would even do the show. So
that's really cool. Yeah, they're a great band. Well, both of them. I love
both of them. Yeah, absolutely.
I've not had my fix of the Bad Man yet since the before.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't think I've seen them since things have opened up. I was going to go to their show a few weeks ago at Luce Line, or that was I think it might have been last weekend. But I thought I got my schedule mixed up, and we played a show on Friday, and they were also playing at like the exact same time. So I thought they weren't going to be until Saturday, but
I hate that.
Alas, I was mistaken.
You'll get to see them Saturday.
Yeah. It was only a week. I could wait, or 2 weeks. 2 weeks, yeah.
Right. And then after that, you're going on tour. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Okay, just where are you going on tour? We'll start with the simple. I have so many questions about planning tour during this time, but let's start with the simple. Right. Where are you going? When are you going? What's happening?
We're so the release show is Saturday the 9th of October. We leave for the tour Friday the 15th. We're going to, and I'll probably miss one of the dates, but we're going to Chicago, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, New York City, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Columbus, St. Louis, and Milwaukee. I'm sure I'm missing one in there somewhere, but yeah, it's 10 days, and then we'll be home.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Okay, now the hard-hitting questions. Now, how?
Okay. 60 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell everyone I'm not Oprah, but right now I am Oprah. Watch out. No.
I didn't know.
Bad connection. You have to go.
Right. Yeah, sorry.
So how is it trying to plan a tour during this time? I mean, how difficult? What happened?
Well, I've never had so much trouble booking shows before. I was always under the impression just based on what everyone told me, that it was pretty difficult to book shows in Minneapolis, and you have to plan out in advance. But what I discovered while booking this, and I started booking the tour probably 4 months before we were planning to go, which seemed like plenty of time, but it turns out it was not. What I found is that a lot of venues have closed, more so than here. I don't think too many venues have closed here, but some cities, are harder hit than others. And then you've also got a lot of the bands who had canceled because of COVID are all rebooking their tours right now. And they also, a lot of the, the promoters that booked the tour before were, which I don't know if they're able to, but they went out and they just put holds on everything. So that made it really hard to get dates or venues because everything was booked up. And also a lot of the bigger bands who would normally play at First Avenue oftentimes couldn't get the First Avenue somewhere else. Couldn't get it because other big bands were already getting it. And so a lot of the bigger bands who would normally play the bigger venues were booking the smaller venues to get on their tours. And so not only was it just really difficult to find a venue that was available, it was, I guess just like everything was booked out really far in advance. And I think, like, looking back on it, I might have approached it a little differently, more strategically, but yeah, it's like less venues and everybody's going all at the same time. And so, yeah, it made it very difficult. I'm still, I think I'm still looking for a band for one of our for one of our dates, and we're leaving next week. And a lot of bands too aren't playing. And so I was researching bands in all of these cities to try and get them, trying to get cool bands on our bills. But the unfortunate part about a lot of bands that don't play is they don't check their email. So it's like you're sending 3 or 4 emails to a band and you never hear anything back. And so you're trying to give them time to respond. So then you end up waiting a couple weeks to try and hear back from certain bands, and you wouldn't hear anything. And so that's just eating up time, just constantly eating up time until, I started to, I kind of got in panic mode a little bit towards the end. I mean, everything that got set up is really great. We're really grateful for everything that kind of came to fruition. And we're playing with some really good bands. We're playing some really cool venues. But it was, like I said before, it's not without a lot of work. a lot of work. Like, a lot of the venues that you'd think that, wouldn't be too difficult to get, that were smaller, but, known venues around, it's just like no chance, and you wouldn't even get responses. And on top of that, on top of everything else I just told you about what makes it difficult, the venues are getting bombarded by emails. Like, they can't even get through their emails. I emailed a venue in Chicago like two months ago, maybe more than 2 months ago. And I got an automatic response that said, please allow 3 months for a response. I was like, what? How as a venue do you book shows at all if you're telling people they need to wait 3 months to respond? That's insane. But needless to say, they never responded to me.
It's been 3 months though.
Like I said, it might have only been 2 months ago, so I'm not really sure. But I don't know that they need to tell me in a month that they couldn't book our show a month prior to that. So,
wow.
But, yeah. So it's been pretty tough. But and a lot of bands are just on hiatus. A lot of bands just aren't playing. A lot of the responses I got were, we're just not playing right now. We're taking a break until everything blows over. And that's totally understandable. And I don't hate anyone for taking that stance. It's totally understandable. But yeah, it's just another factor that made it very difficult to plan.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like so much work.
It was a lot of, like, every day 4 to 6 hours emails for like months, not always 4 to 6. I mean, it was, let's say probably a more fair estimate, let's say 2 to 5 hours a day.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. It was a lot. Unfortunately, I wasn't really working at that time, so I was able to get a good head start on it. I have been working in the last month or so, but it was good that good that I wasn't before that point. So otherwise, I might have lost my mind.
Probably, yeah.
And it's not like you can get like a lot of help with something like that. It's hard if I were to try to coordinate with one of the other band members and be like, all right, how about you do this and I do this, and you try and coordinate it and get them to do half the work. You probably spend just as much time trying to figure out who's doing what, rather than just like, I'll just send the email. Instead of like telling you to send an email, I'll do it. But anyway, one thing I did learn is that my porch is not a great desk.
These are important things to know.
I developed chronic back pain, and as a result of like sitting in a wicker chair and sending emails for that many hours a day.
Maybe you just need better patio furniture.
Absolutely do. Yeah, absolutely do. Yep, that's the first thing when things started to kind of wrap up a little bit, I was like, all right, let's see where I can get some inexpensive but really thick cushions for my chairs. That's going to be the first purchase I make after this is all said and done. But it's almost winter, so it's like, well, why would I spend money on that right now?
Yeah, unless it's on clearance.
Yeah. Oh, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll wait for everything to go on clearance. Patio furniture, duh. Okay, all right, I like it.
Time to buy. I don't know. I don't have a patio. I don't have porch problems. I don't have wicker chair problems. I don't know.
That's first world problem stuff.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, it's so much work put into the album. And I mean, it sounds like thankfully you had the time to put all this effort into everything, the album and the tour.
Yeah. Hopefully it shows, and when people listen to it. And I mean, the album itself is pretty different from the first album, musically speaking. I don't know if you remember, but for the first album was like, I took like different aspects of different genres that I'd done in like the past, I don't know, X amount of years, 6-7 years, and I kind of threw them all together and put them all on an album, and I did it all myself, save for like I had a drummer come in and do the drums for me on the album. And so it definitely has a certain sound. It feels like it definitely, to me, feels like I did everything because you really have like one perspective kind of thing, and it definitely sounds like I overdubbed a lot of the parts. I don't know, to me at least. Maybe it doesn't sound that way to other people. But this album is nice because we brought in, instead of it being like my project, it was like, I want this to be a band, like a collaborative art project. And so we ended up getting some like permanent members instead of people who were just kind of filling in and stuff like that. And I've always had the same guitar player playing with me and stuff, but it was like I wanted to push him to help contribute creatively a little bit. And yeah, like I said, we brought in a drummer, brought in a bass player, and everybody contributed musically to this project. And on top of that, I definitely veered back toward my old like indie rock sort of late 90s like emo kind of stuff that I used to love, because that's just more fun, like way more fun to play live. I've always enjoyed it way more than like doing the folk thing, and it just all kind of came out that way. Everything ended up being more towards that range, and I guess like anything that's a little bit folkier is a little more contemporary or modern, I guess. So, but you can also really hear everyone's style come through, which is super cool. Where I'd ask the guitar player to come in and do some guitar parts or whatever, and he'd come in and what he would ended up playing would always like blow my mind. Like I never would have thought to do that, and that's exactly why you want other people to contribute, because then you develop an identity that you can't like duplicate. And that's like kind of how I feel, kind of what I feel like we did. We ended up with our identity after this album, where the first one was like just a starting point. now it's like, now we are who we are, and now we know a lot more about ourselves. And so I think, this album's got a lot more energy, and I think a lot of the songs are way more intertwined, I suppose, stylistically. And so I think and hope that people, will really like it more than the last one, I think.
Well, I like it. I think it's great.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you.
I have been listening to it. So yeah, it's very good.
Excellent. Thank you. It's good to hear. Absolutely good to hear.
I love the track with Carrie's vocals on it. I was like,
oh, really?
I thought it went into a different album. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess the album went on. And then I went, wait.
Yeah. we thought about making that the first single, but I had some conversations with a few people who were kind of giving me some feedback about how to approach the singles and whatnot, and they were like, yeah, I mean, it's a strong song, it's one of the stronger songs on the album, but Carrie starts the song singing, and if it's your first single, people will think that like she's the singer of the band, and that might mislead people. Not that it'd be a bad thing if people thought Carrie was our singer, but like just that like it, we didn't want to mislead people. We wanted our first single to be the one that really kind of represented the whole album, sort of. And so we picked one of the most dynamic songs that fit well with anything else, I suppose, if that makes sense.
I think it does. I think it does. It's a good
yeah. Well, yeah, maybe later we might later do try and promote that song on its own, maybe after the tour is done or something like that, just kind of see if maybe like KFAI or anyone else wants to just put it out there as like a focus track for a while, and just see what happens.
KFAI is very good for that.
Yeah. See if Krista, well, hey, I could ask you right now.
You could.
Let's get you to commit on video. Put you on the spot.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm on the spot. That never.
Yeah, that's right. Oprah.
I'll say it. Yeah, I play it. Sure. Tell me when.
All right, I've recorded that.
Yes, it's here.
I'm going to put that on the KFAI website.
Sounds good. All right.
All right, cool.
Well, that's right.
Excellent. I'm glad we came to an agreement. So.
Yeah, me too. This feels very productive. Well, Tim, thank you so much for coming on the show. Congrats on the new album. I'm so glad you were able to get it out. And
absolutely.
Album release show, and then of course the tour. How fun.
Yeah. We're close enough where it's feeling now like one of the biggest concerns was a concern that we might have to cancel, but as of right now, it seems like it might actually happen. So let's hope it does, and let's hope everyone's safe. And we're requiring vaccines at all of our shows, and a lot of the venues are requiring masks. I don't even think we need to go down the road of like whether or not we want to require masks, because everyone's just doing it anyway, and we just want everyone to be safe. So
absolutely, I appreciate your stance. I stand behind that too.
Yeah.
And I mean, this must have been a really difficult time for artists, musicians, and appreciate all the patience and for having, I mean, it's really difficult to put you in that position of like, okay, well, we're going to require it. It just stands, but I appreciate it. I think that's. It was
never a doubt in our minds that we were going to require vaccines. Not like from the second we started booking it, that was going to be a requirement for us, and any inconvenience that we have is nothing compared to what other people are going through. So we can deal with this.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, and have fun on your tour.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.